Hello class, and welcome to the first video of the Nationalism chapter, in which we'll be discussing and looking at a number of different examples of nationalism throughout history and how nationalism has shaped the modern world. One way in which nationalism shapes the modern world is through unifications of new and interesting countries. As countries industrialized and social structures changed, countries and nations changed from organizations that had existed for hundreds of years into the countries we know today. Over the course of the next few days, we will look at nationalism and the unifications of Italy and Germany into modern states, the destruction of old empires, and the overthrow of old monarchies. So essentially, all the nations that exist today in the modern world were created out of the nationalism movement. Two very specific examples are Italy and Germany. Today, we're going to look at Italy. So your big question, what is nationalism and what role did it play in the formation of a new country? So I want you to look at Europe. This is Europe right at the end of the Napoleonic era and going into about the 1820s, 1830s. Now if you look down at the very bottom, over here you've got Italy. Now Italy doesn't necessarily look the same as it did as you probably know of it today. It actually is fragmented into several different parts. We'll get into that here in just a second. But I want you to look at France. France is smaller. We have up here the German Confederation. There's no Germany yet. You can see that one of the dominant empires in the area is known as the Austrian Empire. That's going to be very important when we talk about Italy. The other empire that's kind of surrounding Italy is going to be something known as the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. Okay, so the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies and Austrian Empire is going to be huge in the unification of Italy. So we've already talked about this. We spent an entire day talking about nationalism, but let's review just a little bit. So when the Congress of Vienna met and they redrew all the lines of Europe, the one thing that they completely forgot about were ethnic groups. Now, ethnic groups are a specific type of person. So like Germans are an ethnic group. Austrians are an ethnic group. Italians, English, Irish, Scotsmen, those are all different ethnic groups. So when they redrew the map of Europe and gave various parts of land to different people, they completely ignored all those ethnic groups. So what you're going to see in nationalism is the fact that in these ethnic groups, they're going to have a lot of problems with the empires they were put in. Ethnic groups began to develop nationalism. Nationalism, of course, is a strong devotion to one's nation or ethnic group, the most important idea of the entire chapter. I want you to take a look at this. This is the Austrian Empire in 1815, so the end of the Napoleonic Wars. If you look at this, there are a number of different colors that represent the Austrian Empire. Each one of those different colors is a different ethnic group. Look how many there are. Look, for instance, purple over here, that's the Hungarians. The green, okay, those are the Romanians. We've got the Austrians over here. There's just so many different ethnic groups within the same nation. Now here's the problem. What do you think those ethnic groups want? Those ethnic groups want their own countries, so the Austrian Empire is going to have a lot of problems. Look at the United States. The United States has kind of roughly the same issue. There are so many different types of ethnic groups within the United States that need to be addressed. I want you to take a few minutes, maybe pause the video, and take a look what are the dominant ethnic groups? Which ethnic group do you think has the most? And possibly where are some other ethnic groups? Where are some ethnic groups centralized? But overall, if you look at the United States, what is the dominant ethnic group in the United States? All right, welcome back. As we move on, let's actually start talking about Italy. So Italy, at this time, right around 1815, was broken up into three separate parts. Now, if you look at Italy, in the north, it was dominated by the Austrian Empire, the empire we already talked about. If you look at the south, it's dominated by a king of Spanish descent, and he is known, he rules an area called the Kingdom of Two Sicilies, so essentially the Habsburg family or a Spanish family dominates that. And then in the middle, you have the Pope controlling what's known as the Papal States. So although all the people in Italy are Italian, they don't actually have their own country. They have individual empires that they're a part of. It's going to be a huge problem for the Italians. It's going to be a huge problem until about the 1820s and 1830s. There's going to be a man by the name of Mazzini who's going to call for Italy to be unified under Italian rule. And when he does that, he's going to inspire hundreds of thousands of different Italians to really want to create their own country called Italy. Now, Mazzini is going to be important because he's going to go ahead and inspire people to do things, but overall there's going to be two individuals who are really going to actually unify Italy. The first of those is going to be known as Camillo de Cavour. As you can see, he's got a fantastic chin strap goatee there, but overall he is known as the brain of Italy. Now, why I call him the brain? He's the brain because he's the thinker. He's the politician. He's the prime minister that's going to be doing all the behind-the-scenes unification work, the writing the treaties, the talking to other leaders, the forming a government. He's going to be that guy. Okay? He doesn't really look like a warrior, and so that should be fairly easy for you to understand, but he uses extreme brain power to kind of create this nation out of nothing. Now, he is part of a kingdom known as the Kingdom of Sardinia. Now, if you go back here to the map, you'll notice that this kind of beigeish, peachish area over here, that's called the Kingdom of Sicily, and he's the prime minister of that area. Cavour is going to be one of two people. He is the brain. Now, the other guy, the guy that's kind of commonly seen as the unifier of Italy, is going to be named Garibaldi. He's going to lead a group of men known as the Red Shirts. He's going to fight against the Austrians for independence for Italy. He's going to be captured, and much like Napoleon was exiled to an island, Garibaldi's not going to be killed. He's going to be sent to South America to be exiled from the Austrian Empire. Well, while Garibaldi's down there, he decides to go ahead and take up what he should do, which was the fight for Italian freedom. So he's got to learn how to fight while he's in South America, and luckily during that time there was a lot of wars going on in South America, and so he learned guerrilla warfare from South American rebels. When these rebels trained him sufficiently, Garibaldi was smuggled back to Italy, and he's going to lead a guerrilla war against the Austrians, the Habsburgs, and eventually against the Papal States. So when Cavour and Garibaldi actually get back together, it's actually pretty interesting. Cavour is going to smuggle Garibaldi back to the kingdom of Sardinia, and from there they're going to launch this campaign to unify all of the Papal States. All of the Italian states. So Cavour's going to get to work. Cavour's going to do what he does, which is negotiate. He's going to trade a couple of areas. He's going to trade Savoy, and he's going to trade the territory of Nice to France. France, if you look kind of on the map, is right here on this map. Now, when he trades that, France agrees to help the Italians against the Austrians. Well, in 1860, that plan is going to work. Sardinia, this tiny little island here, plus this area up here, is going to launch a war against Austria, and they're going to capture several areas: Lombardy, Venetia, Modena, with the help of France. France is going to get in there, going to help them out, going to launch several attacks against Austria, kind of distract them, so much so that Sardinia is going to be able to liberate much of northern Italy and begin to create this unified Italian state. From there, Garibaldi is going to continue his campaign, but not necessarily in a most linear fashion. He's going to go ahead and swing down to Sicily, where they know that they're weakest, and capture going upward. He's going to win several battles against Habsburg armies, and then eventually make it to the Papal States and conquer everything in between. After that, really only a small area is left, the Papal States. Well, in 1870, the Pope decides that he does not need the Papal States anymore, and he wants to allow the Italians to have their own country. So he abandons defending the Papal States and gives the area in 1870 to Garibaldi, to Cavour, to do with it as they please. In 1870 is kind of the day and the year in which Italy has been formally declared a nation. And that's a very important date for the Italian people everywhere. So if you really think about it, before 1870, there was no such thing as Italy. Now, immediately after Garibaldi hands over the country to Cavour to rule. Okay, he kind of goes and becomes kind of their military leader for a while, and then he retires. But immediately afterwards, Cavour gets to work in creating a new nation. When he creates a new nation, there were several problems that they needed to solve. Lots of people were leaving Italy. About 4.5 million people left, and they all came to the United States. But before that, people were starving. There was war everywhere. They were way behind in industrialization. So Cavour had lots of things that he needed to fix. He quickly tried to industrialize, and whenever he started industrializing, people stopped leaving, and they started staying instead. This 4.5 million is actually a really interesting number. You guys know that America has such a high rate of Italian ethnic groups in the United States. Well, most of those actually came over in the 1870s and have since spread dramatically. So you can thank Cavour and Garibaldi for causing all the ethnic heritage of Italy to come to the United States. After they try to solve some of their problems, their economic problems, they go ahead and try to make themselves stronger. They sign a military alliance with Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This alliance in 1882 is going to be called the Triple Alliance. Now, this Triple Alliance, maybe you've heard about before, but the Triple Alliance is kind of interesting because that's going to be the alliance that's going to start World War I here in about 30 years. After that, 1896, they're going to attempt to conquer an African colony, but they're going to fail. In 1911, they're going to win some territory against the Ottoman Empire, expanding the size of Italy. So if you look at the Italian subcontinent today, it was formed very, very quickly from two very influential men, Cavour and Garibaldi. They used their guerrilla tactics and their superior intellect and also their superior negotiating skills to create the perfect environment to create a new nation called Italy. Using that power, they defeated their enemies and unified a nation that had not been unified since the Roman Empire. So they did something that no one else had done for a very, very long time. I look forward to giving you another example of nationalism next time, in which we'll study the German unification. Be prepared, because tomorrow, after you watch this video and after you, of course, you just took your notes, you will be taking a quiz over this material. So be ready for that. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.